I'm starting this one?
Yes.
Okay. Getting comfortable in my own skin. You know, stretching the comfort zone reminds us that we're fully alive every day. And I am here with Ellie K, America's financial family expert, and I'm learning more every day. First, what I have to talk about, because I know this about us together already, is that I truly get turned on when I'm taking great care of my resources. And it has nothing to do with how many zeros I'm working with.
Right.
It has everything to do with how many zeros I'm pulling in,
right,
and then sending out to my community, because I get taken care of within that transformation.
Yes.
And following, doing what we love. Healthy, wealthy, and wise, young love after 50. I'm turned on, activated by the sacred yes. So, am I asking you questions?
Not yet, but you know, something that you said really made me think a little bit about how it's not about how much you have, it's about what you do with what you have. Because I was recently down at the San Diego Women's Week conference, and I was talking to a lot of wealth managers who work with people that make a lot of money. And they're talking about people that make $650,000 a year, but they're spending $725,000. So every year they're going $75,000 into consumer debt, and when they get ready to retire, they can't, because they have $500,000 worth of debt, and they're thinking, I make $650,000 a year. How come I can't retire? And it's because you don't have a goal and a plan for the resources that you have. And Marva, what is really interesting about our situation is that I was a military wife, and for the first 10 years I stayed home full-time because we had 5 children in the first 7 years of marriage, and my husband already had 2, so that's 7 kids that we supported on a military man's income, and then we moved 11 times in 13 years. And so in our situation, when we first got married, we also had $40,000 worth of consumer debt. And if you do the math on all that, we're living at poverty levels. And it was really difficult. But it's what I said earlier. It's what you do with what you have. So we committed to getting out of debt. My husband rode a bicycle because we lived on base for just a season, maybe 2 years. We took every dollar that we got in that was extra, that we could save, and we put towards consumer debt. And within 2.5 years, we were completely debt-free.
And that is so spiritually liberating all by itself.
It is.
To be debt-free, because we get to question these institutions,
right,
you know, that are telling us how to, and of course it benefits the big banks that we stay in that wheel. And then if you're lucky, you get to pause and start questioning it. And there you really get to participate in the art of living. Whereas you define your own success, create the lifestyle you want, instead of a lifestyle that someone is telling you is successful. You're organically growing it from the inside. And to me, that's the freedom that I get by not having so many institutions to answer to.
Well, right, not just being encumbered by debt. And of course, you know, the number one reason that couples get a divorce or they separate is arguments over finances. And so that's why it's so important to get a grip on debt and things like that. And what's really cool about our situation is I started helping other people save money. So I started writing books, but I didn't make money off of books for the first 5 years. So the first 5 years I was making about 50 cents an hour. I was working really hard, taking care of all those kids. And eventually it started to pay off. So for the first 15 years of our marriage, we were essentially a one-income family. And not only did we pay off $40,000 in consumer debt, but we were able to start paying cash for our cars. We bought a 5-bedroom house, and then we were able to give back as well. And we calculated what we gave in those 15 years. We gave $100,000 to nonprofit organizations around the world, helping children in third world countries, really freeing up our financial resources to be a blessing to other people. So now for me,
extreme blessing.
You know, to me that's living rich. To me, that's a rich lifestyle, to be unencumbered by debt, to not argue about money with the one you love, to teach your kids financial responsibility, and to give back to the community.
Well, and so in your book, Living Rich for Less, and also Heroes at Home, so the 3 words that you define is spending, saving, and sharing.
Exactly, right.
Spending, saving, and sharing. So the sharing is a vital component, isn't it?
It really is important. You know, recently I went to Israel and we visited the Dead Sea. It was a fascinating place. You go floating in the Dead Sea and they have all these spa services and things right there.
Well, the salt. I've got a bucket of Dead Sea salt by my bathtub.
Yes, it's incredible.
I'd go floating.
Exactly. It was so much fun. It was really fun. But the interesting thing about why the sea is dead is basically, in a nutshell, it's because there are inlets, but there are no outlets. And I think it's a good word picture for what our finances are like. If we just keep taking in all the time, and we think about ourselves and we're just paying the bills and that's the grind that we're in, and we never share, we have no outlet, then I think it becomes kind of a dead type of resource. And to keep it vital and alive and something that is living and breathing, we have to give back out again and just make that circle complete.
That mutual feed. And we do this in so many ways. And our relationship with money is the same as our relationship with ourselves. So, you know, you really get to look, that self-examination, and question your own energies and what you're putting inside yourself and what you're feeding out to the world. And as we plug in a more healthy, loving, simpler way, we just get to watch each other blossom. And it's that, to me, is the fun part of the journey, is the good company on the journey.
Right. And you know, Marva, I know you're all about healthy, wealthy, and wise. And you're looking for ways to improve health and the health of those that watch you and communicate with you, that you interact with, whether it's on a blog or whether it's on a podcast, you know, all the various ways that you interact with people. You're trying to help them get healthier, to take care of themselves, but to be wealthier by managing their resources. And don't you think the wisdom is kind of in doing both of those things well?
Well, that's healthy, wealthy, and wise, is to remember we have options. That's where our creative spirit is such a tool, our intuitive self, because we can start to look beyond what's staring at us, look beyond it to where our options are, and we can really just start to co-create with the Creator. And it shines from the inside out, I think. We're happy.
Right.
We're happy, and we're infecting each other with happiness, and we know we're doing the best we can, and this is enough. But, you know, they talk about the 1% who's not doing the sharing, and that is vital. And I thank you, Ellie, for reminding us all. And it comes from your heart. You know this is successful living. We pass it to our children.
Yes, and I think that's important, to be able to give it to our next generation, and that's the legacy that we live. We want to leave a legacy that is healthy, that is wealthy, and that is wise, as stewards of our health and our resources of all kinds.
So we thank you for being with us today and getting a better understanding. Young Love After 50.